This week on Ebert and Roeper, Catherine Zeta-Jones and Renee Zellweger are the merry murderesses of Chicago.
Also, Sandra Bullock gives Hugh Grant her 2 weeks' notice.
And Tolkien's saga continues in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
Oh, Warren, there's a nasty bug nearby. Can you smell it?
Yes. I can smell it. We're not alone.
Brave hobbits and their comrades face even more peril as the saga continues in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. It's coming up later in the show, one of 6 new movies this week. I'm Richard Roeper.
And I'm Roger Ebert. Bob Fosse's great musical Chicago first hit the boards in 1975, and now the long-awaited film version arrives with Renee Zellweger in the marquee role of Roxy Hart, the floozy who murders her boyfriend and then talks her chump of a husband into hiring a fancy lawyer to defend her. Catherine Zeta-Jones plays her jailhouse rival. The story is only a clothesline to get from one musical number to another, and that's the way the movie approaches it.
I hear that Father Dip is gonna blow the blues.
Fosse was a choreographer who revolutionized Broadway musicals, and director Rob Marshall deliberately evokes the master in big numbers like the opener, All That Jazz.
Drag in case you shake apart and want a brand new start to do that.
Let's go, babe. Hotshot lawyer Billy Flynn, played by Richard Gere, coaches Roxy on how to win the sympathy of the press and throw herself on the mercy of the jury.
So it was his life or yours?
And not just mine. I closed my eyes and I shot
In the defense of your life!
to save my husband's innocent unborn child.
Queen Latifah has a big number of her own as the jailhouse matron, and she's got lots of savvy presence.
On your feet.
Welcome, ladies. Got a little motto, always seeing it through. When you're good to mama, mama's good to you. You might think I'm here to make your life a living hell. It's just not true.
Zellweger wouldn't have the power to belt out this role on stage, but on screen, she's just right with a touch of Marilyn Monroe helplessness.
And I'll appear in a lavalier that goes all the way down to my waist.
Here a ring, there a ring, everywhere a ring-a-ling.
But always in the best of taste.
I like the way Zeta-Jones can't believe how Roxy steals her act. John C. Reilly is touching, even in this brassy material, as the two-timed husband, but Richard Gere is a little too laid back, I think, and too polished for the lawyer. I would have preferred a more aggressive actor like Jim Carrey. The story is tabloid fodder, and the movie wisely hurries from one big number to the next, but I enjoyed the energy of Chicago.
Tons of energy. I love that part of it. I would agree, the casting's a little unusual, but to get movies like this made, you have to put big stars like Renee Zellweger in them. Is she the best singer in the world? No. But the direction is excellent, and the choreography is wonderful. Sometimes you see the background dancers, and you're thinking they're probably more talented dancers than Catherine Zeta-Jones. She's a movie star. The camera loves her. She was my favorite in this. So I think it's a lot of fun, and, the whole thing about tabloid coverage and the media jumping on one story and jumping to the next, obviously, even though this thing is set in the roaring 20s, it holds true today.
Yeah. It's been a long time since movie musicals have starred people who can really sing and really dance. I can remember Albert Finney in Annie, for example. He was a good actor, and I guess maybe that's what they do, is they decide that the movie has to be more intimate, and you have to get actors who can sell the material rather than people who on stage might be able to really belt it out.
The real star of this movie is the score, and the songs translate well to film, and it's really well directed, I believe.
And Renee Zellweger is lovable. You have to hand it to her. She's really great on screen.
Yeah, she's very good. Okay, our next movie is 25th Hour, and I want to salute Spike Lee for setting the story in New York City as it stands post 9/11, and for having his characters acknowledge this reality without Lee exploiting any wounds that are still raw. Not that 25th Hour is about the attacks on New York. It's really the story of Edward Norton's Montgomery Brogan, a too-smart-for-his-own-good drug dealer who's on the eve of a 7-year jail term. Monty has one last night to tie up loose ends and embrace friends and family.
Oh, I'm bringing some friends. I'm bringing Naturel.
Monty, wait, Monty, please. Why you bring her?
Why wouldn't I?
You have this discussion once before, no? You get very mad at me.
Oh, you know what? Will you stop with that already? I already told you it wasn't her.
And that's former football star Tony Saragusa as a Russian mobster who suggests that Monty's girlfriend Naturel, played by Rosario Dawson, is the one who dropped a dime on Monty. In a flashback scene, we see Naturel and Monty in sweeter times.
I think we would have very beautiful babies.
While Dawson continues to establish herself as one of our best young actresses, the veteran Brian Cox, also on screen these days in Adaptation, turns in another stunning supporting performance as Monty's dad.
You could have been, if you wanted money, you could have done anything you wanted. Doctor, lawyer.
Don't lay that on me.
That's all I'm saying.
Don't lay that on me. I mean, when Sal and his crew were squeezing you for the payments, I didn't hear you wishing I was a law school student then.
With a script by David Benioff based on his novel, 25th Hour also benefits from the outstanding turns by Barry Pepper and Philip Seymour Hoffman as Monty's best friends, who are loaded with problems of their own. Lee uses a few jump cuts and a few filter tricks, but this isn't one of his more visually adventurous efforts. It's a somber, straightforward look at the last 3 hours of a regular guy who screwed up big time. And as strong as the supporting cast is, Edward Norton really carries this film to a special status with his riveting performance.
Boy, he really does. This film has an elegiac feeling to it. We've seen so many drug movies that glamorize drugs or, you know, put in a lot of action and violence. And here is about a guy who's about to go up for 7 years, and he has to say goodbye to his girlfriend and his father and everybody he knows. And as one of the friends points out, when he comes back, it'll be all over for him.
Yeah.
It really will.
No matter what happens. I mean, the choices are all terrible. And what I like about this movie is you have so many characters, they have sympathetic aspects to them, but they all have real problems and some ugliness, whether it's his dad and his alcoholism and Rosario Dawson's character. You know, she's not completely free of guilt. She's enjoyed the spoils of his riches. And this guy did bad stuff and deserves to go to jail, but we can also feel bad for him.
Yeah, and Philip Seymour Hoffman, who plays a high school teacher who has a crush on Anna Paquin as his student, but doesn't want to have anything to do with her. And the way that plays out, it seems to me, is a lot closer to real life than a lot of the things we read in the paper about, you know, teachers and students and so forth.
Yeah.
It's really touchy, and yet at the same time it's very perceptive.
You know, there's a thing about Spike Lee. He's such a talented director, but a lot of people say, oh, Spike Lee, he always does films about race. Well, he doesn't, and this is a real strong, powerful movie that's not about race. It has elements of discussions about ethnicity, but it's not about that. It's just I think it's one of his best movies.
For example, in his whole monologue where Edward Norton curses everyone in New York, and then at the end he kind of, there's a montage that kind of backs off of that. That's nice. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, coming up later in the show, the Middle-earth saga continues with The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
This is but a taste of the terror that Saruman will unleash.
You're my brilliant chief counsel who's always honest with me.
Well, then, honestly, I think you are the most selfish human being on the planet.
Well, that's just silly. Have you met everyone on the planet?
Our next movie is 2 Weeks' Notice, starring Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant in one of those romantic comedies where two people are in love, and this fact is obvious to everybody but them. Movies like this follow a formula familiar to everyone in the audience and, I think, everyone on the screen, and they work if the dialogue is bright and if the stars are lovable.
Given the situation under which the marriage was terminated, it's not an unreasonable...
You're referring to the alleged infidelity, are you not?
Alleged? He was having sex with her in our bed.
Well, I knew how worried you were about getting anything on that sofa.
Bullock is a liberal lawyer who's been battling Grant, a billionaire land developer. He's an impulsive type and decides to hire her as his counsel.
Okay, if you take the job, I promise to save your community center. On top of which, you can direct all our pro bono efforts. That's millions of dollars at your charitable disposal.
But you couldn't possibly want me. I've spent my entire life working against people like you.
Well, maybe if you work for me, you'll win occasionally.
Writer-director Mark Lawrence has added contemporary references and barbed political jabs to the dialogue so the movie feels smart in a 1930s way instead of dumb in a modern way. One thing that doesn't work, though, is the obligatory character of the other woman, the red-haired new lawyer played by Alicia Witt. Here I actually wanted more of a cliche. I wanted her job to be to bedazzle Grant and make Bullock think that she's lost him, but the Witt character is somehow too sweet and nice to work that way. That means the movie's outcome is never really in doubt, but then, of course, it never was anyway. 2 Weeks' Notice is a charmer in a very expected way.
Oh, I think it's completely without charm. I thought this movie was doomed from the start. The opening scene where Sandra Bullock is embracing this wrecking ball, which is just so over the top. This thing works on no level whatsoever for me. There are about 3 funny lines, all by Hugh Grant. But, you know, he's supposed to be this billionaire Trump-like character, right? He's always in the company cafeteria making coffee. I mean, it's like anybody can just walk in off the street.
He's that kind of a guy.
Oh, well, that's one of the problems with this movie. He is that kind of guy. He's a nice guy. He's a friendly guy. He's actually willing to help out. So there's no conflict
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
There is a problem
She's
here.
the liberal lawyer. He's the billionaire with the heart of gold. And you're right. We know from the very start they're going to end up together.
If there is a problem, is that everybody in the movie is too nice for there to be any real tension because there are no real villains. But come on. Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock, charming. Charming together, charming apart. Funny with this dialogue. Mark Lawrence writes some really nice zingers here.
I think this dialogue is so forced. The script is awful. There's a scene where she has to go to the bathroom, and they jump out of the car, and they go into this RV, and there's funny bad noises coming.
That was funny.
I don't want to see Sandra Bullock in something like that.
Traffic.
And yet you have the temerity to compare this to like 30s comedies with what, Cary Grant? Are you kidding me?
They're
This thing is
stuck
dead.
in traffic, and she's got to go, and there's an RV that's also stuck in traffic.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny.
Oh, maybe if it was Jackass Part 2, but not in a movie that's supposed to be sophisticated and funny like this. All right, coming up next, we got the Fellowship of the Ring broken in The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers.
You have the gift of foresight. Tell me what you have seen.
Lena,
What?
it's a funny time to say this.
What?
I wish I knew you better.
A brother and sister say goodbye with dignity in The Pianist, the most personal movie Roman Polanski has ever made. But The Pianist isn't his story. It's the based on fact saga of Władek Szpilman, who was performing on the Polish state radio station in Warsaw when the Germans dive-bombed the station. Adrian Brody plays Szpilman, who is spared from the death trains and goes into hiding.
Are you from this flat? You're not registered.
It belongs to a friend of mine. I just came to visit, but I must have just missed it.
Have you got your identity card?
What?
Let me see your identity card.
Yes, of course.
I want to see your identity card. What's happening? He's a Jew.
Szpilman survives a series of close calls. He's more lucky than brave, but on the run, the sight of a piano is bittersweet. Plunking just one key would be sounding his own death knell. Nearly 400,000 Jews lived in Warsaw in 1939. By the time the Germans were routed in 1945, there were maybe 20 Jews in the entire city. Władek Szpilman was one of them. Brody is outstanding as this man of talent, intelligence, and pride who must surrender his fate to others. The Pianist is a Holocaust movie in which some Jews are noble and some are rats, and some Germans are monsters, and one is a decent human being. This is one of Polanski's best films.
Yes, it is, and this is an amazing story of a man who somehow survived in situation after situation where we see no way out for him. And then at the end, that confrontation with the one German officer and the way the timing is handled, the way Polanski allows silences and implications and possibilities to develop because one wrong move and this man is dead.
Yes.
And it's just amazingly absorbing.
This movie also is brave enough to say, you know, some of the Jews in Poland were worried about saving themselves, and they sold out their family and their friends, or they did whatever they had to do to survive, and they ripped off other Jews. And that's the thing that's, you know, tough for some people to see. And there's a lot of bleak and grim material here, obviously with a Holocaust movie, but a lot of spirit and, of course, the triumph of this man.
Well, you know, you have to be honest about things like that. When I think of the Holocaust and when I go to these movies about that period of time, I don't know how brave I would have been.
Yeah.
I think I probably would have gone for my own skin. You know, you can't really say that somebody else should be courageous unless you've stood in their shoes.
I think a lot of people resort to what their true nature really is in times like this.
That's right. Okay, our next movie is The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and with this second installment, the trilogy makes a decisive break with the gentle fable of J.R.R. Tolkien and declares itself an action picture. The hobbits are sidelined or held captive, while Aragorn, played by Viggo Mortensen, steps up as the dominant character. It'll be up to him and his friends Legolas the Elf and Gimli the Dwarf to lead the forces of Middle-earth into battle against the arch-enemy Saruman. He warns his ally, King Theoden.
It is an army bred for a single purpose: to destroy the world of men. They will be here by nightfall.
Meanwhile, the hobbits Frodo and Sam wander in circles and are basically onlookers while their friends Pippin and Merry are about to discover the secret of Treebeard and the other ancient talking trees.
You remember the old forest on the borders of Buckland? Folk used to say there was something in the water that made the trees grow tall and come alive.
As before, the movie is a great visionary spectacle with special effects and computer skills created a convincing, exciting, and even beautiful world.
There will be no dawn for men.
It's the ring.
Bruno!
It's taking hold of you.
You have the gift of foresight. Tell me what you have seen.
He is not coming back.
And in the second film, we get to know Gollum, a pathetic and craven little creature that was warped by long possession of the ring. As for the rest of the film, I have a feeling I'm going to be kind of alone in regretting the decision to go for big-scale action instead of trying at least to preserve some of the whimsy of the classic books. The film is certainly a technical masterpiece with a closing battle of amazing visual splendor, and Viggo Mortensen emerges here as a swashbuckling hero with real screen presence. So I like the movie, but I think they kind of misplaced Tolkien somewhere along the way.
Well, although I appreciated the epic visuals of the first Lord of the Rings, I was underwhelmed by the pacing and overwhelmed by the sheer number of characters. But I have to admit that the very thorough nature of that setup made it easy for me to rejoin the story in part 2 and get really involved in the fates of the main characters. My favorite plot thread involves Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, who are kind of like a mismatched Three Musketeers.
Come on, Gimli!
3 days a night's pursuit. No food, no rest.
And Sir Ian McKellen is back as the immortal Gandalf, but he's become a more ethereal being. Gandalf the Grey is now Gandalf the White.
Ill news is an ill guest.
Be silent. Keep your forked tongue behind your teeth. I have not passed so far in death to bandy crooked words with a witless worm.
There's even time for new romance in The Two Towers, as the elf Arwen, played by Liv Tyler, comes to realize that her love with the human Aragorn might never flourish. He is drawn to the feisty Eowyn.
Women of this country learned long ago. Those without swords can still die upon them. I fear neither death nor pain.
What do you fear, my lady?
But even with the sprinkles of romance and light humor, The Two Towers does have an overall tone that's darker and more violent than the first leg of the trilogy. The action sequences are on a par with such historic spectacles as Ben-Hur and Gladiator, and the special effects are vastly superior to those two films. This film doesn't change my review of the original, but it does have me eagerly looking forward to the final installment. I liked it a lot.
So you're finally thumbs up for
Absolutely.
LOTR. Okay.
Absolutely.
You know, I looked at the first film the night before going to see this one.
I did too.
Yeah. And I'm beginning to realize that what we're dealing with here is a considerable epic in movie history, and it really does work in the long scale. I'm looking forward to the third part too. What I want to know is, would it have been possible to be true to the spirit of Tolkien and still make movies of this cost and length and spectacle, or was it necessary to really tilt toward violence and action in order to get the audience?
Well, there are lots of people out there who know more about Tolkien than I do, but I do believe that it is true to the spirit. The characters are true to the first film, and yes, it's darker, it's more violent. This is one of the more violent PG-13 movies I've ever seen. I think they're this close to getting an R rating, which they were never going to do in a huge, huge epic like this.
Well, you know, the last great battle scene, which lasts at least half an hour, and which was great on the screen, and I loved looking at it, really blows up a very small part of the book, and meanwhile the hobbits are put on the shelf altogether.
I understand what you're saying. I think probably in the final chapter we'll see more of the friendship, and you know, the characters in this movie, they're all apart. There are 3 different storylines going on here, and you know, we'll see them come together. And when you get the DVD, you get even more material.
Coming up next, the Wild Thornberrys hits the big
Who wants us to race?
No, the plains are too dangerous for little ones like you.
But Akela, I'll be with them. I'd never let anything happen.
Nickelodeon's The Wild Thornberrys hits the big screen in a kid-friendly adventure pitting the animal-loving clan against evil poachers who are targeting a herd of elephants. Lacey Chabert from Party of 5 voices the precocious Eliza, who can literally talk to the animals. Thumbs up for the Wild Thornberrys movie, which includes a positive message about protecting African wildlife. Although, don't try petting those cheetahs at home.
You know, I liked it too. It was fun. It had a lot of energy. It had a lot of action. It had those sequences where they're dangling from the helicopter and trying to save the herd of elephants, and it was very bright and colorful, and I had a good time.
Excellent. Okay, looking ahead to more big holiday movies. On next week's show, George Clooney and Julia Roberts are secret agents in Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Join Ebert and Roeper's 3rd annual Film Festival at Sea. Preview the hottest new movies and enjoy lively discussions with the critics. Roger and Richard sail to the Bahamas in Disney's Castaway Cay, February 20 through 23rd, aboard the Disney Wonder. Ebert and Roeper's Film Festival at Sea. Call your travel agent or 1-800-945-3806.
Okay, recapping this week's movies, 2 thumbs up for Chicago. It opens next week. 2 thumbs up for 25th Hour. We split on 2 weeks' notice. 2 thumbs up for The Pianist. It opens next week. 2 thumbs up for The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. And 2 thumbs up for the Wild Thornberrys movie.
If you've missed some of our reviews of the big holiday movies, shame on you, but remember, they're all online at ebertandroper.tv or at movies.com. And, of course, you can read us in print at suntimes.com. Next week, we'll be back with Nicole Kidman, Julianne Moore, and Meryl Streep in The Hours. Until then, the balcony is closed.
You know, I suppose Lord of the Rings will do its usual $100 million plus, but the one I hope people also look for is Spike Lee's 25th Hour, which is very, very touching.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best movies of the year. In New York and Los Angeles audience will see it. Then in January, it should be playing in your local theater.